Taxes, they are the necessary evil. They eat up your returns, and a person who doesn't understand or doesn't want to understand taxes will surely end up paying a lot more money to the government for no reason at all. But if you pay attention for just a little bit, trying to understand them, and trust me, it is not rocket science, then you will identify a lot of scopes to minimize your tax liabilities and increase your returns on your hard-earned money. So this video will not only tell you all the tax rules in a simplified way, but I will also share how some people, not me, but some of you are definitely eligible to pay zero taxes and how that's possible. So this is Money Minded Mandeep. Thank you for subscribing and pressing the bell icon. So first, you really need to know what are the different types of income in the eyes of Indian tax law. So whatever income that you generate in 1 year has to be categorized in 5 heads. Income from business and profession, income from salaries, income from capital gains, income from house properties, and income from other sources. And right now we're really focusing on income from capital gain. Now, what is a capital gain? It's simple. Whatever profit that you generate by selling your capital asset will qualify as capital gain. Now, the bigger question is, what is a capital asset? Capital assets are significant pieces of property such as homes, cars, investment properties, stocks, bonds, and even collectibles or art. That means pretty much anything can qualify as capital asset. But what you really need to know is what cannot be qualified as a capital asset. Any asset that you own is intended for sale in a regular course of business will not be qualified as a capital asset. For example, I own my car and I intend to drive that car. So my car becomes my capital asset. But if I were a dealer whose business was to buy second-hand cars and sell it to different customers and make a profit margin, then those cars would not be my capital assets because those were intended for sale in my business. So the profit the car dealer will generate will go to his income from business and profession head. So you really need to own the asset for your own usage or for investment purposes. Only then it will be qualified as capital asset. Now before we jump into the tax rules, there's one more thing you need to know. Capital gains are of two types, short-term capital gain and long-term capital gain. And it really depends on their period of holding that will determine whether it's a short-term capital gain or a long-term capital gain. And for simplicity purposes, let's call it STCG and LTCG from now on. So there can be different capital assets, for example, my car or this table or my house. But today we're really focusing on your investments, that is listed stocks, listed bonds, unlisted bonds, debt mutual funds, equity mutual funds, and even international stocks. So let's start with listed Indian stocks and equity mutual funds because the rules are same for both of them. So if you sell your stocks or mutual funds within 12 months of buying them, then that profit will become short-term capital gain, that means STCG. However, if you hold them for at least 12 months and then sell them, then the profit will become long-term capital gain. In case of STCG, you would have to pay a flat 15% tax, and on top of that, you will also have to pay 4% of health and education cess, but the cess is only applied on the tax amount, not the entire profit. So your effective percentage tax will become 15.6%. But in case of LTCG, the tax is only 10%, that too on the amount exceeding the profit of 1 lakh. That means in one financial year, if you have incurred a total LTCG of 4 lakh rupees, then you would have to pay an LTCG tax on 3 lakh rupees and not 4 lakh rupees. And just like the STCG, the 4% health and education cess will also apply here. That will make your effective tax rate as 10.4%. Before 2018, there was no LTCG tax on shares as well as equity mutual funds, and whatever profit that you generated was completely tax-free. But now you have to pay 10% tax. The question you should be asking is, if your grandparents had bought a certain stock in 1990, and your family is still holding on to those stocks, then the profit would be in lakhs and crores. What will happen to that? To avoid this injustice, the government devised a plan, and that plan is grandfathering concept. According to the grandfathering concept, if you or your family member had purchased a certain stock or an equity mutual fund before 2018, then in such a case, your real cost of acquisition will not be considered. The price of that particular stock or a mutual fund published on 31st January 2018 will be taken as your cost of acquisition. Let me explain you with an example. Let's say your grandparents have bought a certain stock in 1990 at rupees 10, and today the value of that stock is 10,000 rupees. If you try to sell that stock, your profit would be 9,990 rupees. But that is not your taxable profit. For tax purposes, your cost will not be considered as 10 rupees. You would have to look up the price of that particular stock on 31st January 2018. And let's say on that day it closed at 8,000 rupees. So this 8,000 rupees will become your cost of acquisition, and your taxable profit would be 2,000 rupees. So whatever I've said till now applies to listed Indian stocks and equity mutual funds. But what about unlisted stocks? Firstly, let's understand what are unlisted stocks. In Indian context, any stock that is not listed on BSE, that is Bombay Stock Exchange, or NSE, that is National Stock Exchange, is called unlisted stock. Example, startup funding. An angel investor or a VC investor puts money in a startup. Against that money, they will get shares of that startup, but those shares are not listed on BSE or NSE. Another great example is international stocks. A lot of people have been buying US stocks recently. While they may be listed on NYSE or NASDAQ, but in Indian context, they are still called unlisted stocks. That means they are neither listed on BSE nor NSE. So if you sell unlisted stocks within 24 months of buying them, the profit that you incur will be called short-term capital gain. And if you sell those stocks after 24 months, the profit will be called long-term capital gain. In case of short-term capital gain, whatever profit that you make will be added to your income and taxed according to your tax slab. But the long-term capital gain will attract a tax of 20%. But there's a silver lining, and that is called indexation. Indexation is a technique that is applied to your cost of acquisition to adjust that for inflation. Let's understand this with an example. We bought our house back in 2005 for just 5 lakh rupees. True story. But now if I have 5 lakh rupees, can I still go ahead and buy a similar house in 2021? The answer is no. And the culprit is inflation. And now if I want to sell my house for 80 lakh rupees, my profit would be 75 lakh rupees, but that is not my taxable profit. My actual cost of acquisition is in fact 5 lakh rupees, but what we really need to find out is the indexed cost of acquisition that will adjust it for inflation. And to help us do that, the government of India has been publishing a certain number every year, and that number is called cost inflation index. So what this really means is any asset that costed 100 rupees in 2001 now costs 317 rupees in 2021. So let's try to calculate the indexed cost of my house. We bought that house in 2005, so my base year would be 2005. And I'm selling that house in 2021. That means my current year also becomes 2021. And the formula to calculate the index cost is your actual cost divided by the CII of base year multiplied by the CII of current year. That means 5 lakh divided by 117, then multiplied by 317. That would give me an indexed cost of 14 lakh rupees. So if I do sell my house at 80 lakh rupees, my profit would be 75 lakh rupees, but my taxable profit would be 66 lakh rupees. So with the help of indexation, I was able to bring down my taxable profit so that I could pay less tax. So it is helpful, and it is also available in house properties. That's why I use this example. Coming back to unlisted stocks, if you sell them after 24 months, the profit is long-term capital gain tax. You would have to pay 20% tax, but the benefit of indexation is in fact available. So now you have understood the capital gains tax on shares, whether unlisted or listed. But this is only one way of making returns on your investment. The other type of income is called dividends. If you hold some company's share, they may pay you dividend. So that is not considered as capital gain. It's called dividend income, obviously, and it will go to income from other sources, and you will have to pay appropriate tax as per your tax slab on it. Now let's talk about debt mutual funds. If you invest in a debt mutual fund and sell those units before 36 months, then the profit will become short-term capital gain. And if you sell after 36 months, the profit will be called long-term capital gain. In case of STCG, your profit will be added to your overall annual income, and that will be taxed according to your tax slab. This is bad, especially for people who are in 20% or 30% tax slab. In case of LTCG, you are required to pay a flat 20% tax, and the benefit of indexation is also available. Coming to bonds, and just like stocks, they are also of two types, listed and unlisted. And both have different rules. But before understanding that, you should know that you can earn income from bonds in two ways. Bonds will have a certain coupon rate that is called interest, and you will earn interest income for as long as you hold those bonds. And the price of bond itself can appreciate, and then you may decide to sell them. So the interest income will not be called as capital gain, it will go to income from other sources, but the capital appreciation will be called as capital gain. Let's understand the rules in case of listed bonds first. If you sell your listed bonds within 12 months, then it's STCG. But if you sell your listed bonds after 12 months of holding, then it becomes LTCG. The STCG will be added to your income, taxed as per your tax slab. The LTCG, on the other hand, will be taxed at 10% without indexation. However, in case of unlisted bonds, if you sell them before 36 months, the profit is called short-term capital gain. And if you sell them after holding for 36 months, the profit will become LTCG, that is long-term capital gain. STCG again will be added to your income, taxed as per tax slab. And LTCG in case of unlisted bonds is taxed at a flat 20% without indexation. The benefit of indexation, however, is only available in capital index bonds and the sovereign gold bonds. Now, these were the different types of capital gains on different types of capital assets. One very important thing that I need to tell you is, you may sell your stocks or mutual funds or bonds, whatever the case may be, for let's say 20, 25 or 30 times in 1 year. And during every sale, you will incur a certain kind of profit or a loss that will be categorized as a certain short-term capital gain or long-term capital gain. But for entire purposes, you need to calculate your total short-term capital gains in 1 year minus the total short-term capital losses. If the net amount of one financial year is positive, then it means short-term capital gain in the eyes of tax. And same goes for long-term capital gain. But what if instead of a positive number, you see a negative number, that is a capital loss? And what if I told you that you can take advantage of this capital loss, whether short-term or long-term? Let's understand. Say instead of making a profit this year, you ended up in a net short-term capital loss. It means in the next financial year, if you make a profit, short-term capital gain or even a long-term capital gain, you can deduct previous year's short-term capital loss from that amount before paying tax on it. In the tax terms, it's called setting off your short-term capital losses from future short-term capital gains or even a long-term capital gain. Example time. Let's say this year, your net short-term capital loss was 1 lakh rupees. And next year, you made a short-term capital gain or a long-term capital gain, whatever the case may be, of 50,000 rupees. So from the previous year's loss of 1 lakh rupees, you are allowed to set off 50,000 rupees against this 50,000 rupee profit, and you have to pay zero tax this year. But you did not get to set off your entire losses. For that, there's a provision of carrying forward your losses for 8 years. So even the remaining 50,000 of short-term capital loss can be carried forward and next year can be set off. Now pay attention to the rules. Short-term capital loss can be set off with future short-term capital gains and future short-term capital losses. But long-term capital loss can only be set off with future long-term capital gains and not short-term capital gains. Even the losses of intraday trading can be carried forward for 4 years and can only be set off with future speculative income. Now you have understood different types of capital gains on different types of capital asset, but I did not cover the income tax rules on intraday trading. And it's pretty simple. If you are an intraday trader, that means you are buying the stock and selling the stock on the same day. That means you are not taking the delivery of stocks. In that case, the profit will not be called as capital gain. It will be called a speculative income, which goes into income from business and profession head and taxed according to your tax slab. What about futures and options? Same rule, it goes into business head. So remember how I told you some people are definitely eligible to save everything. They don't have to pay any kind of tax. It's just that income tax has different slabs. So if your total taxable income for 1 year is less than 2.5 lakh, then you need not pay any kind of tax. Even if your taxable income crosses 2.5 lakhs but stays under 5 lakhs, whatever tax liability you have will be set off with a tax rebate of an equal amount. So that means if you manage to bring down your taxable income below 5 lakhs, you need not pay any kind of tax on any of your income. So capital gains may not be a part of your tax slab percentage wise, but they will follow your basic tax slab. If you do like this video, please press the like button so that YouTube recognizes it and recommends it to more people. And if you did not like this video, feel free to press the dislike button twice. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.